Well, obviously, this is something we've all been waiting for. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network joining us as he's done for however many of the last few weeks, getting ready for the draft. And now that it's all done, DJ, I know you don't do draft grades. I haven't seen draft grades, but what do we think?
I liked it. I thought they did a nice job of finding some needs and filling some needs while not reaching for those players. I thought where they landed them, there was value there. I thought there's a nice mix of kind of like the steady, reliable guys and then some upside plays as well. So I was a fan. I mean, I can tell you this: you guys were the only people outside of like people within the league and family that got a text message in the first round. I can tell you that much.
I love the picture.
You were at the front of my mind.
The picture is so great. The picture you sent of you is awesome.
I didn't know why we didn't have the video of Schneider calling you. I didn't know if he was going to call Zabel first or call you first. I didn't know who was going to get that first.
Different types of calls. One I think would have been very nice, and the other maybe not so much. But
why'd they end up on him?
Yeah, why'd
they do like the conventional thing that got me screaming the day of the draft? Why do you think they ended up putting that card in more than anyone else?
I don't. First of all, I think it was not a choice between Zabel and another player. I think it was a choice between Zabel and getting out. And they just obviously weren't able to land on something they felt was good value to get out of there. I mean, that's the way the draft kind of fell. I mean, he was for me. He would have been like one of my top 4 available players, and they're all similarly graded there. So you've got a position of need, and you've got someone who I think has high floor as anybody in the draft. Like, gosh, the guy can play anywhere along the offensive line. He's got elite makeup. You talk about this new system and wanting guys who can move. He can do that. So, I mean, I don't know that it was that hard. I think I would have been surprised if anybody else was the pick, to be honest, based on how all fell.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking as we were watching. 12 of the 17 players that went before him play on the line of scrimmage, if you include tight ends. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I kind of felt like by the time it came to him, I don't think they could trade out. Like, if they had traded out, there were so many big guys that were gone. It felt almost not, maybe there were teams that didn't want to come. I don't know what it was like behind the scenes. But if I would have been John in that spot, I don't think I could have traded out even if I'd wanted to, just because of everything that was gone.
Yeah, and it really kind of, to me, the lack of depth at certain positions informed a lot of decisions that were made. I made the point with the Jets, kind of going through that process with them. They needed a tackle and they needed a tight end. And you could say, okay, well, I have a little bit higher grade on the tight end where they're picking in the first round, but man, look at the tackles you're going to be looking at if you don't take one there. The tackle group in the next round is just not very good. And I think on the interior, there was just a teardrop. I mean, I think there were some good players there. I think Ratledge, Miles Frazier, good solid players, but definitely a teardrop from those first 2 interior guys.
And then the Seahawks come up on day 2, and we knew they had ammunition. Salky had sent it to us in our show note the night before, like, hey, man, all you got to do is trade, this and this, and you can come all the way up into the mid-30s really, really easily. They do, and they come up not for an offensive lineman, but for a safety. Talk to me about Emmanwori.
Yeah, Emmanwori, I mean, gosh, I'll tell you exactly what number he was on my list to give you an idea of what value I thought they were getting there.
15, I believe?
Yeah, Emmanwori was he was my 15th player. Yeah. So, I mean, you're getting a first-round player. You're not having to part with, a future first-round pick. That's always a win for me when you can pull that off. So they get a top 15 player in this class who – I know a lot of the conversation was, okay, it's Seattle, and this is, John's trying to find Cam Chancellor 2.0. This felt a lot more to me like Hamilton, like how Hamilton can be used in Baltimore with that kind of athleticism that you can put up towards the line of scrimmage. You can do all different things with him there. I just think he's a more, it sounds – I don't want to hate on Cam Chancellor because Cam Chancellor's a really good player, but this guy's got so much more twitch and speed and juice and burst. Like, to me, that's not a great comp.
So why was he there? I mean, what was he doing there at 35?
I can tell you exactly what happened. I did my last mock draft, and I heard from his agent who called me after the mock draft was over and said, I don't understand, how in the world do you have this guy not going in the first round? You think he's a top 15 player, yet you don't have him. It doesn't make any sense. And I said because every single year a good safety falls to the second round. I mean, you can go back and track it. Brian Branch was a top 20 player and went in the second round. Javon Holland was a big-time player, fell to the second round. This league does not value that position as much as maybe we do publicly. Now, I think it's a mistake. I think that you can look at a lot of those guys. McKinney's another one.
Buda Baker.
Yeah, every year there's just highly rated safeties, and every year one of them will fall into the second round. I don't agree with it. I think it's foolish because we see so many of these guys who are somewhat can't-miss players, and they end up being great pros. But that's just how the league is, man. So that's why he's available. It's not for any other reason. That's it.
I think for Salk and I and a bunch of our audience, we mentioned so many of these names. I know Salk's going to get to Milroe, very enamored with him, and I think at the right spot at 92. But of all the guys that I don't know very well, I did not have Miami over the last few years. I don't know Elijah Arroyo at all, and I would say our audience probably needs to learn the most about him. What don't we know, and did you like him at 50?
Well, now I'm going to see, this is going to be great. I'm glad you phrased it that way because I know Salk says he's a good friend of mine, and he says he consumes everything I put out. Who was my comparison for Arroyo on the draft?
That would be one Noah Fant.
Oh, nice.
And I got to tell you, if there was anything that I think concerned people around here, it was your comp to one Noah Fant.
Yeah. But a motivated Noah
so not
Fant.
really like Noah Fant.
Talent-wise, movement-wise, he looks like Noah Fant. Noah Fant could really, really run. So this happens all the time, by the way, during the draft, is that you see comps go to teams where you had them, compared. But he's someone, he just hasn't been healthy. If he'd been healthy through his whole career.
Like, what kind of injuries are we talking about here? Are these soft tissue stuff? Or are we talking about, real stuff?
No, I think it's a lot of soft tissue stuff. I'd have to go back through and find all that stuff in a different document. But he went to the Senior Bowl, guys, and if you would just popped on the Senior Bowl practice tape and watched him move around and run around, you'd be like, this guy's a first-round pick. Like, he's got height, weight, speed. He can separate. He can track the ball. He can go up and get it. Just, and then when you talk to the coaches at Miami, they say, look, even when he was healthy, we underutilized him for what he is. So, Restrepo just kind of was like, that was where the targets were flowing for Cam Ward, who's comfortable with him. But at that point in the draft, absolutely, that's a good pick, man. You just, you got to cross your fingers and toes. You can keep him healthy. But athlete-wise, you got somebody that's got a chance to be a really solid starter.
Will
he run over? Will he break more tackles than Noah? Like I don't mind Noah Fant. I just don't. I've never seen a tight end break fewer tackles. When this guy gets the ball in his hands, can he knock over a defender?
I wouldn't say that's his favorite approach.
Okay.
To me, he's more likely to use his athleticism than his physicality. He's going to run away from you. He's going to make you miss. He's a little more loose than Noah Fant. Noah Fant, especially the more he played, you saw a little more stiffness with him, this kind of straight line speed. This guy's a little more loose.
I even saw some folks saying that maybe he could play some X receiver. Is that a possibility for him?
You can watch him run routes. You can watch him split out and run routes at the Senior Bowl one-on-ones, and he does look like a jumbo receiver. Now, I don't think that's where you want him to make his living out there against corners, but if you can utilize him in the formation and put him out there, and they're going to walk a safety out there, I'll take my chances. Well, that's more the lines of what it would be.
And especially if they are going to have more two-receiver sets, maybe there is an opportunity to do more of that where, you throw a couple tight ends out there and then change what the defense looks like, and then you can split them out there as an extra receiver. That's kind of interesting. All right, I'm intrigued.
By the way, this is what happens when you've been just doing draft stuff forever, and then you come home and your wife has to take a trip with your daughter, is that I look out and it looks like my pool's going to overflow, and I don't know anything about anything other than just draft prospects. So I text the pool guy, and I'm like, you got to get out here right away. This is not good, man. This looks like this pool is going to overflow. We got major problems. And then he texts me back, it shouldn't overflow since the sun comes out. It does evaporate. I'll talk to Jeff and see what he suggests. I don't know what that means, but I would not like my wife to come home and have my whole house be underwater.
It'd be nice to have a pool guy, don't you think? Wouldn't it be nice to have a pool guy? I don't know.
Are you saying you got to go right now? You got to go siphon the pool?
No.
Might be a tidal wave or something.
I mean, I've got a golf lesson in an hour and 10 minutes, and then I might have a flooded house, but I'm going to fix some of my tempo issues that I've been having.
Then we can't let you go until we at least ask you about the quarterback, for God's sakes.
Oh, yeah.
This is the thing we're so excited about. What can we expect? Here's how I would ask. What can you project year 1, year 2, year 3 for Jalen Milroe?
Okay, I'm going to say I think Jalen Milroe is going to get a chance to start two or three games. It's just hard. The odds
In
are
year one.
the odds are your quarterback's going to get nicked up. He's going to miss some time. It's a long season, and this is one of the things I get excited about Milroe. And I understand he's got a long ways to go in terms of his development as a passer, but he's like the perfect skill set to me for such a thing. Like it's we got, Sam needs a couple weeks. His ribs are messed up. We got to, we can run him out there and we can just commit to his legs and that style of play for a couple weeks. I don't think initially you couldn't run him out there for much more than that because you're going to need more from him as a passer. But I think he can get you through a couple game stretch year one, and then the hope is that breeds a little bit of confidence, and now you go into year two and you see what how competitive he can be for that job. That to me is kind of that's the beginning liftoff for that whole thing. Is I feel like you will see him for a game or two, and I think what's going to happen is he's going to get people excited because of how he's going to run around and make some plays doing that stuff.
So Salk likes to spit numbers back at me. He's a numbers guy, and he gives me the completion percentage of Jalen Milroe. And why do you say he's inaccurate? Why do you say he can't throw? He's got a higher.
That's not quite what I'm saying. It shocks me given the reputation of being such an inaccurate passer.
Yeah.
That he's almost he's a 64.3% passer through college. And when you look at the numbers of guys that he's comped to, that's higher than Russell Wilson, higher than Josh Allen, higher than Taysom Hill, higher than Patrick Mahomes, not that he's being comped to him, higher than Lamar Jackson, higher than Jake Locker. Like, it's a pretty remarkable figure. So I'm sorry, just to set the stage there, Brock.
No, that's totally fair. So, I guess why is that percentage so high? Because the Senior Bowl, I've never seen a QB spray it more, ever.
It was bad.
The combine was
bad.
like every other throw was like, well, that one's 5 feet over his head. Oh, that one's a one hop. Oh, that one's right on the money. Like, he is a spray passer. So what is it? Is it the processing? Is it where's the glitch in the whole kind of passing thing? Because the numbers would tell you, as Salk said, it's really not that bad.
Well, I would tell you that similar to Lamar was much more comfortable in the middle of the field. Like everything in breaking, he was much more comfortable. And Milroe is that way. The seam ball is the best throw that he makes. You can find some cut-ups of him just throwing seam balls. It looks great. Outside the numbers, the ball takes off. It's all over the place. You'll see issues with him locking out. You'll see issues with him where his eyes and feet aren't connected to each other. And that's why you get some bad misses. Now, I remember, and again, I'm not comparing him to Lamar at all. Lamar was further along in the process, but I remember having this conversation on Lamar because the numbers and the eyes did not marry. And one of the things that I said was, it's not like every incompletion is the same. Like the incompletions, like you might just have 3 incompletions, but they were so bad that it leaves an impression in your mind that there's just no way this guy can't do it. Like these are so. There's outlier how bad some of these
That's how I feel about Kyler Murray. Like, that's what I see when I watch Kyler Murray. The numbers show that he's reasonably accurate. Moore was pointing that out the other day. And then I watch him, like, he missed that guy by 12 yards. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, but the other side is, like, you also have to remind yourself, well, it is just one incompletion. You know what I mean? Like, there is something in his favor to that, gosh, even though it's a bad miss, like somebody that strikes out on a ball that's, 3 feet outside, like, it's still just one strikeout. So he's not polished by any sense. To me, the biggest issue is just getting his eyes and feet to marry up and connect. That's the biggest problem. But there are some throws that he's comfortable with and that he makes. The last thing I would say is that completion percentage in college is just not a useful number. Like it hasn't been in a long time. It's just there's so many ways to manufacture that. So I would never if you hear accuracy and completion percentage connected, I would divorce those two real quick.
Can you fake some of those things in the pros? If he's not the most accurate passer, can you devise an offense that takes advantage obviously of his legs first and foremost, and I don't want to say minimizes the risk the risk of the throws, but as you just said, kind of gets the most out of what he can do to make him an effective quarterback or potentially eventually an actual franchise quarterback?
I mean, I think in some ways you're running some college stuff, and I would be heavy RPOs. Like that's, again, Lamar, where he's most comfortable coming into the league with just RPOs, whipping slants. Like he could throw those all day long, get comfortable with that. And then on top of that, you're going to move him around. Now, there is interesting discrepancy. A lot of his big runs came on scrambles versus design quarterback runs. Like, he's not quite as good on design quarterback runs as you would think for a guy who's that fast and that athletic. Most of his stuff came off of, just scrambles on pass plays. So I think they tried to incorporate more of that this last year at Washington, or from, that Washington offense going to Alabama. And I think that staff maybe was a little surprised that he wasn't even better at that most of his runs were kind of organic runs.
So we hammer through Thursday and Friday, and now we get to Saturday. And this is, John Schneider will tell Bob and Dave in the afternoon, like, this is where the money is made. And through the years, the Rick Woolens, the Shermans, the Cam, we all know the names, right? And the 4 through 7. So it was Rylie Mills, it was Tory Horton, it was Robbie Ouzts, it was Bryce Cabledew, it was Damian Martinez, Mason Richmond, Ricky White. 3 quick questions. Yeah. Out of that group of 7 guys, which one was your favorite pick?
My favorite pick, there's 2 of them, but I need Rylie Mills to just come back and be healthy. If he can come back and be healthy, he would have been in my top 50 players. When I watched him on tape and he was healthy at Notre Dame, I thought he was a top 50 pick. I loved him. Wow. And then you find out all the, like, you talk to the people at Notre Dame and, like, the wiring stuff. I mean, the guy driving to go see the team in Atlanta, because he couldn't fly with the surgery. Like, all that stuff's really, really good. So he reminded me, and it was funny because I talked to all my buddies that we all work together with the Ravens, and now everybody's scattered throughout the league in different roles. We all liked Rylie Mills. Like, that was kind of all our guy, because he kind of felt like a guy we'd been around with the Ravens. Okay, so that would be one, and then.
Oh, go ahead.
Tory Horton would be my other one. Tory Horton is someone who I would have had a much higher grade on. He just fell because of some medical stuff.
Yeah, I want to get to him.
Is it just that? Is it just medical?
He should never have been there talent-wise at that point in time.
Yeah, I got to get to him at the end of this thing. 2 last ones. Most likely of those 7 to play a contributing or winning role, winning factor here in 2025.
Well, I mean, I think Robbie Ouzts is going to get a chance to be kind of that fullback, kind of that hybrid player. I think he can carve out a role for him. Okay. So that would be my pick. Okay,
and then lastly, like a penny stock. If you could buy stock and you get a percentage of their career earnings of these 7, which one you buying?
Horton.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, help me understand that one, because I see the Illinois kid go in the 3rd round to Denver. I've watched Horton a couple times. Colorado State, they get like 14 catches against CU a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Best player on the field. Sorry, Travis Hunter. That day, that dude was unstoppable. I've talked to people. They love him. He's a great kid. Runs 4.3. Like, how is he sitting there as the 166th pick in this draft?
Yeah, he was my 73rd player. So to me, it was all just off of the injuries and going through that process. The 23 tape makes him a top 50 pick every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So, I mean, it's really just that simple. But the guy can do everything. He can play inside, he can play outside. He's smooth, fluid. He can separate. You can see he ran 4.41. He's got just kind of beautiful flowing change of direction. He can go up and get it. He's got a big catch radius. So, I mean, honestly, like the way my notes read better than 73, and that would have been a bargain if they got him there. I mean, so yeah, it's really just that simple. That's just the medical staff coming into the draft room and saying you can't take this player at this point in time.
So we've been incredibly complimentary of the draft that the Seahawks had. I think for good reason. Brock gave it an A. I think I gave it an A-. There's a ton to love. We're looking forward to this. 2 questions on the other side of it, just to, for some realism's sake. 1, did they get enough offensive line, especially early in the draft? They obviously took Zabel in the 1st, but then the other 2 offensive linemen they take are much later in the draft, 5th and 7th round. Did they do enough to improve their offensive line?
I mean, if you're going to nitpick, I would have loved to have had one more, in that at least middle tier. They went shopping in the nice store and then the bargain store. Like they could have maybe got something at Marshall's.
What would you have? What Marshall's? Well, I think that's the bargain store. I don't know what to tell you. Like 2nd round? Could you have?
You're such a snob, man. You're such a snob.
I mean, I grew up shopping at Marshall's and Bradley's and Zayre's and everything else. Like I'm pretty familiar with the Marshall's brand. Could you have gone Tate Ratledge instead of Arroyo in the 2nd round?
Yeah, I could have made that case. Yeah. To me, I think, let me see. I had them. You want to know where the numbers were, where they were graded? Because I think I had them very similarly graded. And if it was close, I would have taken the lineman. So Ratledge, Gosh, what was he like? 60?
I think he went 52. He went in the 50s. I know that. He went after Arroyo, but not too long.
Not by
after
much.
Arroyo.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I made the mistake of highlighting all this stuff in blue font, and you don't realize how hard it is to read blue. But it was Ratledge versus Arroyo. We talked about Arroyo, so I'll pull up by offensive lineman. That's easier. It's in yellow. Don't ever highlight stuff in blue.
No. Never. No, we're done.
Ratledge was 62 for me, and Arroyo, I think, was early 50s. He was 51. So I had a little bit
better.
I had Arroyo just a little bit over him, but close enough where I think I could have leaned in the direction of just fortifying the interior.
Second question would be, did they do enough? Did Mike Macdonald wants a defensive-minded football team? I've been saying a lot for the last however many weeks, months. Hey, if you want to get elite on defense. Did they do enough to make their defense great? They only picked 2 defensive players.
Yeah, I mean, I think they came into this draft in pretty good shape there. So you take an upside flyer. I don't think Rylie Mills will be ready for the start of the year. So that's kind of a more really for a year 2. And you got a difference maker. Emmanwori can be a difference maker and a playmaker. So I thought their defense was in pretty good shape coming into this process. So they decided to go on the other side of the ball. And look, when you make a bold move, which they did at quarterback, when Geno's out, Sam's in, stands to reason they're going to invest a little bit more to make that decision right.
That's a good point. These 20-plus minutes have done nothing but fortify my overall thought, DJ. When the hay was in the barn Saturday and they were done, I thought, my goodness, this feels as Baltimore Ravens-esque a draft as I can ever remember. And then I'm like, you know what? Mike Macdonald was there for 10 years, is a tremendously bright guy, and John Schneider loves him and has leaned into him. Is this not Baltimore Ravens West?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's so funny to me when you talk, and I've got, these guys, some of them are in GM chairs, others are personnel directors, others are coaches in other places. When we were all together in Baltimore in the early 2000s, and we all talk, and we all like the same players. So it's in your DNA. Like when you get in that building and you learn what they appreciate and what they value, and then those people spread out around the league and they take those values with them. So I don't think it should be a surprise at all that you felt that way, because I think that's what they believe to their core, and that's what they went out and did.
Was there any overall message you got as you look through the 11 players and look for any common themes or threads or what it might say about Mike Macdonald or John Schneider or the organization or where they're going? Does anything stand out as an overall message you get?
Yeah, I thought it was just going through that class. There's achievers in there. Like there's not as much wishing and hoping. There's a lot of guys. Now there's a couple flyers, but for the most part, these are all accomplished, productive football players. And to dumb it all down, like get guys who've played good football. You know what I mean? Like, let's just go get guys where there's no guesswork. We know exactly who they are and what they are. They have a history. They have a track record. They have a back of the football card that represents they've actually done something.
If Salk in his Marshall's jeans looked over at you in first class flying home from Green Bay Saturday night, what would he have seen?
Drool.
Are you gone? Are you conked? Or are you still wired?
I was watching some YouTube golf and trying to lean back in my chair. I don't ever put the chair back because you're a horrible person if you put the chair back. Right. But the guy in front of me had a pretty wicked cough. So I was just like glued to the back of as far back as I could go without offending the guy.
Now, when you say YouTube golf, does that mean you're watching like golf lesson stuff, or does that mean you're watching live golf?
No. I watched a golf match. It was a 2 versus 2, and it was Josh Allen and John Rahm against Phil Mickelson and Grant Horvat. That was my flight home. Watching that.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were just, hey, I gotta watch the live
I don't
tournaments.
understand it. I don't really watch real golf at all because
really?
I like the YouTube golf's more fun. It goes faster pace. You get to learn the personalities. I called Josh Allen's agent and I said, hey, Josh Allen might be my favorite player to watch play football. I think I actually enjoy watching him golf even more. Golly, he hit the ball a country mile.
That's
DJ,
not a huge
that's 25
surprise.
minutes, and we didn't even ask about Shedeur. How about that? 25 minutes and not one Shedeur.
Is that irresponsible? Should we have done that?
What was that?
Man, I don't know. It was nice. That was nice. I mean, man, everything. There's nothing left. There's
nothing left to say.
No, it's just bones.
I feel bad for him. I know that a lot of it is his fault, but I I found myself thinking that it had to be a bizarre experience finding out in front of the entire country that your dad had completely, in many ways, ruined your perception of the world, convinced you that you were better than you were, convinced the world that you were better than you were. And then who do you talk to? Because your dad is the one who did all this to you. Like, I feel legitimately bad for him.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway removing myself from it for a couple days is just this is going to be, I guess I don't know if they do PowerPoint presentations anymore, but this is going to be every agent's PowerPoint when they're going to meet with clients and say, you need me.
Yep.
I think that's a really, really, really valid point. I've seen that a couple of places, and I would totally agree with it. Like, if he had an agent to say, hey, stop acting like an imbecile, this is what you do when you go into that room, he might be a first-round pick right now, or second-round pick.
Salk has said to our bosses multiple times, Brock needs me. Like,
I do.
Needs me.
Say it all the time. Yeah, we know what things look like when I'm not here.
That's right.
Things run amok.
Go take care of the pool.
We need you, and I'm glad we get you one more week next week to finish this thing off. It's been awesome.
So
seriously, thank you for all of the help and everything leading up. I know a lot of people were psyched to hear what you had to say today. We certainly enjoyed it. We'll talk next week.
I appreciate it. Go get you something at Marshall's. They have nice stuff in there.
Maybe TJ Maxx. You never know. A lot of options. All right. We'll be right back. It's Brock and Salk. Yeah. Well, we really do appreciate you guys watching our videos.
And remember, you can like it, you can subscribe it, you can download the Seattle Sports app so you never miss a minute.